Hi, this is Rolf Versluis. I'm going to talk today about one of our unified communication solutions. Secure, mobile, unified communications. It's kind of grown out of everything that we've been doing over the years. And I'm going to explain what each one of these elements means. I'm going to do an overview of what a secure, mobile, unified communication system is. Talk about the different elements that go into it, and provide a big picture how-to of how we get this done for you. My company is Adcap Network Systems. We're experts in unified communications, and a lot of the products that we use for our unified communication solutions are based around Cisco systems products. So let's talk about big picture what I mean by this. So let's break it down by the elements. Unified communications, sometimes abbreviated UC for short, started out with voice, so business voice. This is what you would know as your cell phone or your desk phone or things like that. It adds voicemail, and voicemail usually integrated with email, so that if someone leaves you a voicemail, it drops into your email inbox, and you can play the message from there. In fact, with the later versions, you can get a transcript of it, so you don't even necessarily need to check your voicemail. Next part is presence and instant messaging. So presence means figuring out if other people are on the phone or not, and if people are at their desk and are active. You can also set status of available, in a meeting, busy, do not disturb, things like that, so that people, before they call you, they could know whether you're going to be able to pick up the call or not. And then instant messaging is just chat, so text chat, sharing files, doing other things like that. Another part of unified communications is being able to integrate video into the system. So instead of just saying business phone system, which encompasses voice, unified communications does all these elements. And it's part of how people expect to communicate these days, by being able to reach someone pretty quick, and if not being able to reach them, that they're going to be able to get some kind of answer or alternate way of doing the communications. Okay, so we covered unified communication. Let's talk about what mobile is. So mobile is being able to make calls when you're out and about on your cell phone. And what we're specifically talking about is Android and iPhones, because those have the App Store that lets you do all sorts of other things. Because of there's been stuff in the news about how cell phone calls are intercepted and the metadata from them is analyzed and things like that. You can find apps in the App Store that will allow you to make calls, secure calls, over the internet using an app to other people. Well, we can go one much further than that, because what we have is a full unified communications app on your smartphones. So this takes your whole unified communication capability, your voice calls, your video calls, your presence, your instant messaging, your chat capability, so everything, and puts it in an app that you can run on your phone. And furthermore, this will integrate securely into your organization's unified communication system. So if you want to make a call securely over 4G or over Wi-Fi to anybody in your organization, and maybe you don't even have them in your directory, you can just look through the directory and make the call. And this is a secure encrypted call. I'll talk through a little bit of how that's done, but the app that is available in the stores right now and has been is the Cisco Jabber app. So the Cisco Jabber app, and being able to securely do unified communications on your mobile devices is one of the biggest changes that's happened in the communications world in a long time. And it's kind of just snuck up on us for people that have been doing this type of unified communications for a while. And it's only when you talk with people who really don't have this capability at all that it kind of comes home to say, wow, this is actually pretty unique and pretty interesting and very, very useful. Because not only can you have your entire desk phone and unified communication suite on your mobile phone, so when you're walking around the office, if you got Wi-Fi coverage, boom, it's right there. You can do conference calls, you can take your desk phone calls, you can check your voicemail, you can see the transcription of your voicemails that you have. But furthermore, when you go outside of your office and you have 3G or 4G capability, you've still got all those, your entire desk phone and all the other unified communications abilities on your mobile phone running as now. That's really neat. So the security of it is interesting, because as we talk about security within the unified communications space, there's a few different levels of security that we can discuss. And so let's say, well, first of all, none. That's kind of where we start with security. We'll talk about good security, and then we can talk about complete. And within the Cisco voice and unified communication systems, we can do most of these levels of security. There's a lot of different unified communications systems out there. Cisco doesn't really allow you to do the no level of unified communications security. So what we do in every situation, and this is the standard setup that our engineers do on the design side and the deployment side, is we do some basic level of security. For example, you wouldn't want your operating system on your phone to be replaced by something else, right? So we have basic prevention of the phone loads being changed without permission. We also carve off different parts of the network so that we make the parts of the network that are voice only, so that we can't have it disturbed by other data and things like that. And that's basic. We have phones that we can use at home as well as mobile devices, and we've been able to do that for years, and we've always done that with a form of encryption. So that's good security, because we don't really do no security within the Cisco voice realm. We can take this completely all the way to everything being fully encrypted. And when you talk about voice calls and video calls and things like that, there's two main things that we're talking about. We're talking about the signaling, and then we're talking about the media. Signaling is simple things like, hey, I'm going to call this guy, here's the number, and it sets up the call, and then media is the actual stuff that's transported, your voice, your video, that kind of stuff. And so we end up having to encrypt these in different fashions, and then you think about all the different things that you might do while you're on a call. There's all sorts of things that we have to do to set that up for encryption. So voicemail access, conference calls, connections to the local phone company and things like that. And that's kind of where the encryption stops, because once you take your call outside your organization to the local phone company, then who knows what they're doing with it. You really don't have any control of the encryption. So not many organizations will do a completely encrypted, completely secure system. It has some drawbacks in that it's fairly complex to set up, but it does work well. So for example, government and military organizations will oftentimes do a complete encryption system, not only because they need to do it, but also because they have a huge organization and many of their calls are internal, so they don't have to worry about going outside. But from a good standpoint, we want to make sure that we have everything working, network isolation, and encryption whenever we go across parts of the network that we don't control. And that's part of the secure mobile unified communication solution. So those are the big picture overviews and benefits of it. Let's talk in a little bit more detail about how this is specifically done and what you need for this. So a lot of folks over the past, I don't know, since about 2000 have bought Cisco phone systems and put them in place. We have a lot of different customers, and we talk to a lot of folks that have gotten their systems from other folks. And for many years, they haven't really upgraded them. They're like, well, my phone system works, and that's really all I need it for. And some people don't really want to use video. They're happy with their phone calls being just pretty much phone calls. But the secure mobile unified communication system changes it. It really adds the capability for you to be a lot more effective in your communications, be able to take calls quicker, communicate multiple ways, respond better to customers, be able to make decisions quicker, and just act in a more rapid fashion. So it is worth doing the upgrade to get to this. So what do you need? What do you need for this? Well, first off, you need engineers that know how to design the system, figure out what you have, design the upgrade to it, and then put it in place. So fortunately we have that, so you can call me and we can get you set up with that. Next, you're going to need a Cisco Unified Communications System. And it's got to be upgraded to some specific versions. So the version that we're talking about for this capability is for the Communications Manager version 9.1 is what we need. And then we've got a few different other things that we need. Also, you're going to need mobile phones, and you're going to need a network that can support this thing. If you're already running Cisco Voice, your network is optimized for voice and secured for voice and characterized for it, you should have that in place already. Okay, so a few different parts of this then. How, if we have this in place, do we then make the secure unified communication system work? So let me draw out what a basic Cisco phone system does. And I'm going to draw single boxes for this, but just know that we can set up all these types of things in clusters because we don't want to have a single point of failure anywhere. So if we have a Cisco Unified Communication Manager system, we'll just say that's the phone system applications that are running in a cluster that do calls and voicemail and presence and all sorts of other things. We usually have that on the inside of our network. And then we'll have some kind of local area network that all these things transit over. And then we'll have wireless on top of that. And wireless is fairly important, and a lot of people are doing wireless upgrades these days because it used to be an overlay network. Now everybody's got mobile devices and they all want them to be connected quickly to the system. So we want wireless network, internal wireless network, wireless local area network to be fairly ubiquitous. All right, so then we're going to connect out to the internet. And just like everything else, we don't just connect to the internet. We go through a firewall, and usually the firewalls that most folks set up have what's called a DMZ in the middle. So it's probably usually a single firewall, and we'll peel the DMZ off onto the outside. This is so that we can kind of do a semi-secure hop to the outside and back to the inside. So what we need to add to this to enable it, and it doesn't really, as far as I can tell, it comes with part of your licenses depending on the licensing scheme, but we use something called an expressway. And we use 2 expressway boxes. And an expressway is a pretty neat box because on the inside we call it the C and the E. We call it E on the external. It just hooks into the network as an application here, and they're constantly communicating. It was originally designed to be able to allow you to do video conferencing over the internet using SIP. And so one of the protocols that we use is SIP, and that's the new way of doing voice. It stands for Session Initiation Protocol. So we just say SIP because that's just about as meaningful as the long words of it. But basically, if you want to do a video conference with me, I've got that ability. If you're on the internet, you can type in my URI, my Uniform Resource Identifier, which is really just my email address. And then it'll go find the way to communicate with video to me over the internet and establish an internet video call. So it does that by finding the Expressway E server, and that communicates into the Expressway C server, and it hooks into our unified communication systems, which enables video as well. So this is great, but what Cisco saw was they could take the Expressway system and then fully and securely enable mobile devices as well with the Jabber client. So this works by having a constant communication through the firewall, so you don't really need to open special ports. A lot of it gets tunneled over SSH, over secure shell. Okay, so once we have these things in here, and of course they have to be hooked up properly to the communication manager and the voice gateway and stuff like that, then we can have mobile devices that are out and about. And these mobile devices are going to connect back to the Expressway E using a secure method of doing that. So they use what's called transport layer security, kind of the same thing that you use when you're accessing a secure website. And what that does is encrypt the actual, it encrypts the information about it. Remember the signaling part that we talked about it? So it encrypts that from the mobile device, and that's inherent in the Jabber client, all the way to the Expressway. And then it also does an encryption through here, and then we can go back to unencrypted. The media is encrypted using a different protocol called secure real-time protocol. So this is the media. Most media internally, whether it's voice or video, is transported using real-time transport protocol. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the details of that. But secure real-time transport protocol, basically, at the creation of the voice or video, uses a way to encrypt it at that standpoint. So what we have is a TLS tunnel with secure real-time transport protocol in between. That's how we get to the secure voice and video communications. So it's very different from a cell phone call. In fact, in some cases, the quality is better. Because there's limitations on cell phone is that they have frequency limitations. So they have the same frequency limitations that you would have on the regular phone system, which I'm not sure what the lower end of the thing, but the upper end is 8,000 hertz. And we can hear up to 20,000 hertz. So that's why, you know, cell phone calls and regular phone calls don't sound so great. Once you're out of that world and you're into what we call a wideband codec, it's more like stereo quality voice. So not only is it going to be secure and more convenient, it's going to sound better also. And then if you have video enabled internally, or you're connecting to somebody else's mobile device that has video, you can be making a video call. So this is pretty neat. So how do we get to this? Well, like I said, we've got to have the newer version of Call Manager, we've got to have mobile devices, and then we've got to have Jabber licensing, and then we've got to have an organization that understands and does this stuff, puts it in place, and then it's there to take care of it for you. So that's the big picture on secure mobile unified communications. I think it's really significant, and we use it here internally. It's great. I'm able to call people and text them and see what their status is and things like that. The only downside is sometimes you just have to turn that Jabber client off so you can enjoy your weekend. Anyway, again, I'm Rolf Versluis, Adcap Network Systems. We're really good at unifying communications and love to talk to you and get some of our engineers to talk about our secure mobile unified communications solutions. Thanks.